Coach, what's the plan in terms of just who's playing tonight, minutes-wise, what's the thought process here?
This is it's part of our 4-game ramp up to the regular season. We value this week as a week of work and practice after seeing what we've seen so far in the 2 preseason games. So there is a group of guys who will be out. We'll go with a little bit of a different starting lineup. So we'll go with Ty Jerome, Isaac, Karras, Dean, and Damian. Give them an opportunity to get some minutes, extend their burn into the third quarter. Damian and Ty, give them the opportunity, to really go out and execute our system on both sides of the ball, against another opponent besides ourselves. And then, let Karras, obviously he missed the last game, kind of ramp himself up, and Isaac and Dean as well to get some heavy minutes.
Is that Ty Karras pairing something you want to get more film on? What have you seen with those two?
They've been really good together. They play at tempo well. Ty does a great job of having empathy for his teammates and understanding when he needs to get him the ball, what sets he can call to get him the ball. Putting guys in positions of their strength and doing it at tempo. So, they play well together. They move off the ball well together. So they create easy opportunities, for each other, but for the guys around them also.
Chris Fedor at Cleveland.com. Hey, JB.
What's up, Chris?
Are there any injuries to worry about with any of the starters that aren't going to be playing tonight?
Not at this point, no.
And then did you have any conversations with the other coach about not having tonight's game, given everything that's going on back in Israel?
No, I have not had any communication with him. Obviously, I've read some of his comments that he made after the Brooklyn game about the hope that it can bring for kids back in Israel. And if it's something that we can participate in to bring that hope and bring that joy, then there's no reason why, we shouldn't support that.
Do you have plans to use the final preseason game then as a dress rehearsal for the regular season opener?
We will play the 3 quarters for sure, see where we stand in the 4th quarter. But my expectation is, we get as close to game-like as we can, if all goes well.
Thank you.
Evan Damrow, right down Euclid. JB, you mentioned guys like Damian, Karras getting more playing time as well, but guys like Pete Dance, Sharif Cooper, even Sam Merrill, is this an opportunity for them just to get more on-court reps, at least for you, and so you have a better look at what they're capable of at this point rather than just what you see during camp?
Yeah, for sure. Those guys will get opportunities tonight. Again, you're familiar with them because you've done a lot of homework. You get to see them, versus your team. But it's always good to get a look at guys, versus an opponent, who doesn't know all the ins and outs of your system and how to cheat things and those types of things. But you also just, there's a different level of competition that you get to see versus an opponent that, that team's going to bring out in guys. You see how they stand, in front of a crowd. All those things kind of go into your evaluation. But to be able to have conversations with guys in pressure moments, right? Even, these games for guys who are trying to earn minutes, keep jobs, earn spots, those types of things. You get a feel for them when there is some pressure on the line, which is always better for evaluation as well.
And to go off Chris's question a little bit, I know you said the first 3 quarters are planned to be the dress rehearsal, but is there just a little bit of eagerness, maybe anticipation or anxiety about just getting the regular season started already?
If I was one of the guys, I would say yes. But for us as coaches, we'll take all the practice time that we can get. It is a short period of time when you think about it, what you're trying to get done and implement and bring guys together. I think it was close to 7 days before we had our first preseason game. So you want to be able to spend time and, coaches, we love practice. But I know the guys are sick of us and they'd rather get to playing against some other people. So we'll use every day this week and then the next couple of days next week leading up to Wednesday to make sure we got everything we need to get in.
Thank you.
Spencer Davies, Cavs Insider. We're about 2 weeks into this. How do you feel about the guys' wind and the conditioning factor in all of this?
I think we're in really good shape. I think not only, from a lung capacity standpoint, but, we put our guys' legs, under duress. And that typically happens to teams when the season starts. And it was one of our goals, to get those guys in a state of fatigue so that now their body recuperates and they recover and they can move on. And we're not having those same issues early in the season that you typically see sometimes, especially, for us coming out of the bat and we've got 2 back-to-backs within, a week's time. So, being able to get guys in a position where they can push through those things and then recover. So, we felt really good about that.
Hi, Jackson Flickinger, right down Euclid. Isaac is presumably going to be playing in more bench units this season. How, if at all, do you see his role in the half-court offense changing, and how might we see that tonight?
Initially for us, we wanted to start in the full court. Isaac is elite at running the floor and creating one-on-one opportunities in transition, and that's where he has an advantage. And for us who are trying to find some easier baskets, we got to be able to exploit that. So get him the ball, with his shoulders facing the basket in broken floor situations. And then in the half court, there is going to be a lot of space around him. You got a bunch of guys on the perimeter that can create, that gravity. And Isaac is really good at attacking closeouts, not only to finish, but to find open guys. And then he's also a really good cutter. So the more space you provide for him, he has the ability to attack, create, finish, cut, and keep putting pressure on the paint to keep teams, the surrounding guys honest depending on what's happening in the action.
Tim Alcorn, Cavs Audioverse. Circling back to what you said to Evan's question, coaches always like more practice. What questions still need to be answered?
I think it's not about questions that need to be answered. It's just reps that need to take place. Playing with a guy like Max is different than what we've played with in the past, right? Like Max creates a ton of disruption by his movement. In the past, we've been a really, pretty stationary, find your spots, execute the pick and roll, and then read your outlets from there. When you have a guy who's as dynamic as Max and how the defense has to chase him when he's involved in an action, you still need to figure out, how does he get to his spot so he can still be the outlet, but then how can he continue to create that disruption through the flow of the offense as well? So it's just more about the reps of getting to play with each other. Max, our guards are Karis, Donovan, Darius have typically been pick and roll players, right? Max is more of a throw and chase guy, so your big guys getting used to that. Your smalls getting used to him playing in his slip out game, and then that becomes contagious, where guys see how it creates an advantage, and then now Karis is running in to a slip out with Darius or Donovan, and now they create that advantage of the plays that need to be made. So not questions, but just more about reps and chemistry building.
So not that it's 100% there, but how comfortable do you sense the guys are with one another at this point?
It's a work in progress, and it's just different. You know what I mean? I think our guys know their foundation and their base, but I think all this stuff, what's going to separate us, is going to take time, and it's going to take game action versus different coverages, different opponents before we become the best team. But our goal is always to continue to do that during the season and not peak too soon.
That's one person.
JB, at times in the preseason, you've looked like a third base coach sending guys home with how much you're urging the guys to run. What are your general principles when it comes to pushing the pace?
We want to get the ball across half court as quickly as we can. When you take a look, and I know you'll nerd out on this, but
Of course.
the numbers of the efficiency, how it changes, not only when you get the ball across half court, but how it changes when it's dribbled across and passed across. It completely changes, the efficiency of your offense. So trying to get the ball across half court as quickly as we possibly can. But then we've got spots on the floor that we're trying to fill to create as much space as we can and trying to create that space as quickly as we can. So, more about thrust and then continuation of that thrust for us with providing the proper spacing for the ball and the actions that we want to get into.
Are you trying to get into your sets with 20 on the shot clock, 18?
So our goal, and this is when we're in transition, is 3 real seconds.
Okay.
So not really concerned about a shot clock, but 3 real seconds. And again, we're not going to be a team that's just doing this, right? We're going to control the game. We're going to get our guys to their spots. So where we're aiming to be is, almost 2 teams, right? We're a team off makes and turnovers, and then we're a team off or misses and turnovers, excuse me, and then we're a different team off makes, hoping that teams don't know exactly how to guard us, and now they're a little bit caught off guard with what style we can play.
Okay, it's gonna wrap, Coach. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
appreciate you guys.